Critical Blast, where pop culture gets blasted.
And good evening, everyone. I am RJ Carter, Senior Managing Editor of CriticalBlast.com. You're all mouthing that along with me now, I know, because you've heard it over and over and over today. But we are in the home stretch. We are finishing up Podcast-palooza here. We've got just a few more hours until 10 o'clock, and I will collapse. But it's been fun, and I've been so appreciative that you've all been along here for the ride with me. This hour, we are going to talk with one of the well-known and mysterious personalities within the crowdfunding community, the man known as the Illustrator Monk. And he is finally breaking out of other people's works that they've given him to draw to do his own thing called ECLECTIC COVEN. Mr. Monk, how are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show.
So this is a new one for us. We're actually getting kind of a draw stream as we go along here, while we're talking about the book, and I'm hesitant to actually bring up the page because it will interfere with the close-up view we're getting of the ink work you're doing here. But I will anyway in just a moment.
It will still be here when you get back.
I know, and it won't erase it. It just makes it really small. So tell us a little bit about the ECLECTIC COVEN. I mean, are these are stories, or are these more pinup kind of a book?
So originally this was from an Inktober list. I was looking, usually the Inktober list is a little uninspiring for me, the official one, so I was looking for some different one to try out, and I found one with a bunch of different witches on it. So I decided to go with that. I switched up some of the witches on the list and made some of my own, so I took it a little in my own direction, but this is basically a collection of those. It does also include some new witches. There are some witches from the unlocks, the stretch goals. So there are 4 being added from the stretch goals. And I'm also including some of my older witch shrines from before the Inktober. So it's going to be a bunch of witches, and then there's going to be a 4-page comic short in it featuring my witch character Phoebe.
Gotcha. I was going to ask if she had a name. So Phoebe is your winking witch here, who we see.
She's actually further down. She's the one with the pet monkey.
Oh well, I've already picked her wrong.
Right?
Oh, there's Phoebe. Yeah, Phoebe looks wicked. She's tattooed up and denim jeans and a pet monkey. Because what's a witch without a monkey?
Right.
So again, did they have stories as in terms of sequential art and word balloons, or is it more again more like a pinup book?
It's mostly going to be a pinup book. I am going to add some text kind of explaining the drawings, stuff like that. The comic itself is going to be a silent comic, so all the story will be told with action, body language, and expressions, which can be a challenge, and I'd recommend that challenge to any aspiring comic artists out there, to be able to tell a story without any words.
Yeah, the silent movie treatment. Because the art is supposed to be the thing that drives the story. So I'm just entranced by. So these are witches that are not your witches. Then is that what you're saying here? That they came from the Inktober challenge?
So basically, they give you kind of like a starting point. Like for example, one of the first ones is the seasonal witch, and for mine I did a winter witch. So it kind of gives you a prompt of what you want to draw, and then you kind
Okay.
of take it and turn it into something.
So these still are all your original characters. They just were prompted by a draw something that does this, or draw something that looks like that, or communicates this.
Right.
So I can see that we've got like an Egyptian witch as one of the options here.
Yeah. So the prompt on that one was a solar witch, and I decided to go in an Egyptian direction on that one. I thought it fit it pretty well.
Yeah, it looks great. And then of course next to that we've got somebody who's in more of a devil costume with monkey bones around her.
Yeah, I believe that one is one that I kind of made up. She's a necromancer, and those are cat skeletons
Oh,
that
okay.
she's raised from the dead.
She has dead familiars, and she's also got the ankh around her collar there, which harkens again back to the Egyptian themes. I know the main illustration at the top of your page here is in color. Is that just going to be the cover that's in color, or are you going to do color throughout?
It's just the cover is going to be in color. Basically, all of my work, all my comics and stuff that I put out are going to be in black and white. I can do color; it just takes a lot of time, and
Sure.
since I work full time, that's the only reasonable way for me to get out books.
The, Seeing your work, how your work is I don't want to say it's under inked. It's not over inked, is what I'm trying to say there. It's almost I like that because it invites the amateur to scan it and try their hand at coloring it. It's almost like one of those adult coloring books that are out there.
Right.
In fact, your work would look great in an actual adult coloring book where we just buy it and get some colored pencils and go to town. I would not do it with this book because it would ruin it would take it away from being a collectible at that point, although I still might do it. What makes them witches, I guess, would be my next question. I mean, sometimes you're just I guess they're all kind of doing some sort of a spell casting or room writing thing here.
Right. So some of them, it's not like a ton. It's just subtle hints here and there. There'll be witchcraft symbols or something like that that kind of harkens back to the witchcraft theme.
Yeah, so like you've got a mermaid witch here, but she's conjuring a water apparition above her hand there. And then I do like this this farm witch. She's riding a hoe with a crow, and carrying a rutabaga the size of a basketball. Definitely witchcraft involved there. So
Yes. Sometimes it's overt and sometimes it's more subtle.
yeah, you definitely do a lot of the pinup style of work. I won't throw a lot of words into the question. The question is why. What is it about the pinup that you are drawn to?
It's just that seems to be the most fun for me to draw.
That's what you need to do. Is need to have fun while you're drawing. I'm a huge pinup fan. In fact, I've shown on a couple of streams now. I went antiquing yesterday and bought a 1986 calendar because it was the 40th anniversary of the 1946 calendar that was drawn by Alberto Vargas, or Varga.
Nice.
Not and yeah, it's just 13 full color, gorgeous illustrations by Varga from the 40s. And you look back at some of these people, what they were doing almost 100 years ago now, and I don't know what tools or techniques or materials they had handy, but it's still sometimes leagues away from what you see most people doing today.
Right.
So I didn't look into the tiers on this campaign yet because, looking at the art, and it's not, a whole lot of tiers. In fact, it's 2 now. you get the digital copy for $5 or the physical copy for $15. Your signed copies have all sold out, not surprising. And it's going to be 32 original drawings. So it's a 40 pages of book.
So with the additions, I think it's going to be about 52 pages total now.
Okay. So were there some stretch goal additions that were thrown on here?
Yeah.
Let me scroll all the way down to the stretch goals and see where we're at. Okay, so yeah, you've unlocked the Phoebe sticker, the expanded book. Gosh, the art print, and the Ed Roth tribute. Big Daddy's been showing up in a lot of my streams this past week for some reason. It's like the universe trying to tell me something.
Yeah, he moved to my home state in his later years. He lived here. His wife still has a celebration each year. They call it the family reunion, and they get together down at his old house and play some music and have some hot rods and some pinstriping and stuff. It's a fun time.
So that's another thing that's unlocked. I've got no doubt, really, that you're probably going to unlock the 2 more illustrations added to the book, and the perfect bound thing, because people are going to want this art collection. They obviously gravitate to your style. Do you find that, after the work you've done on saving the world and some of the other stuff, are you getting a lot of work thrown your way from people who want you to illustrate their comics?
Yeah, I get requests every now and then, usually when I'm doing big pushes on Twitter. People start to notice me, and then they'll ask me if I want to do something. And I just kind of cleared out my commission list so that I could start doing my own books.
Yeah, start focusing on yourself for a little bit here. I know there's a lot of people out there who've done one book on their own, and then suddenly they're doing covers for everybody else, and they have no time to do their own thing.
Yeah. And I do have a lot of stories I want to tell, so it's kind of going to be, I'm getting up there in age, and I want to have time to tell these stories before I'm out.
Yeah, well, this is this is your first campaign on a solo, but people, you're not a stranger to anybody. People know you deliver and get things out. What kind of stories are you wanting to tell? I mean, once you're out of the witches here, what kind of comic books will we see from you?
So actually, I'm going to be continuing with Phoebe. She's going to be having her own story. It's set in the 1950s. It's going to be set in a mining town, and her dealing with her mother's death and finding out that she's a witch.
Okay, I brought her picture back up here. So she's got a lot of tattoos for a 50s girl. You know that, right?
Yeah, actually, in the beginning of the story, she doesn't have any tattoos. So we'll find out about that later in the story as well.
She goes the rebel route, and this is also her in the short story that's going to be part of this release here. Doesn't look like she's keeping her witch self all that secret. We see her riding this broom past a cheerleader and racing a hot rod. So that's a unique take on the witchcraft kind of story, because usually it's like, keep everything secret, don't let anybody know you're a witch, and she's just kind of out and open with it.
Yeah, so this story actually takes place after the events of the story that's going to be coming out. So this is kind of after the events of the story. So when the story starts out, she doesn't know she's a witch.
Got it. And I'm not, have you written out the script and the summary for all of this? How it's going to go, or are you just kind of still working with the idea?
So I have completed the script for the first issue. It is final draft, so it's ready to start illustrating. 36 pages long for the first issue.
And have you started on that yet, or are you waiting until you this? I don't know if you go back and forth between projects.
I'm I'm trying to finish up these stretch goal witches that I just added. So yeah, I'm getting ready to start drawing the actual pages for the story.
Cool. I see that you kept your stretch goals very very basic. I mean, it's the book, and you've got some stickers and some art prints. The art print for Phoebe that's been unlocked, is that I don't know, is that 8 by 10 or is that 11 by 17?
It's 8 by 10, is I
Okay,
think
so
what it's going to be.
comic book
That's
size.
yes, comic book sized. That's the original size of the drawing. Um, I think it's no, the actual size is 9 by 12, so it's going to be right in there.
All right. Given how much this is all pinup stuff, have you given any consideration to not doing prints of all the characters, because that would just be insane, but releasing them in a format more like a calendar, something that can go on the wall and display them one at a time, kind of thing.
Um, I have had some requests for stuff like that. Some people want like a print collection sort of deal, like a portfolio sort of
Oh
print
yeah,
collection.
a portfolio would be very nice.
Um, I just haven't really looked at the logistics of that yet. Um, like you said, most of the people I've worked with have done comics, so that's what I'm most familiar with getting fulfilled. So I know how to get that fulfilled. I know how to get it printed, shipped, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I haven't seen anybody. I've got some portfolios, and I haven't seen anybody do them in the comics industry since the late '80s. I mean, I've got the Watchmen portfolio. I've got a George Perez Batman portfolio. Um, it's a DC Universe portfolio. Obviously, I was leaned heavily towards DC. They seem to be, popping out all the time back then, and now it's like there's nothing there. Uh, I think it would be almost a novelty item now for to have, like, hey, get this big oversized 13 by 20 folder that has all these plates in it. Um,
Yeah, the biggest hurdle for the larger stuff like that is just the shipping price.
Yep. Trust me, I'm very familiar with the with all the shipping hurdles for oversized and outsized projects. So, how long have you been working on this one that you're looking at today? I mean, this is as far as an output time goes, uh, from blank page to finished last ink stroke.
Uh, it can range. When I do the like sometimes when I do darker hair, it gets really complicated like this. So it can take 4 or 5 hours to ink, and usually a couple hours to pencil it in. So 6 to 8 hours of drawing.
That's a lot of hours put in for one drawing. Um, I mean, that's 8 hours, and an 8 hour day at work pays probably more than a piece of artwork does, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So you mentioned you cleared out your commissions list to make room for your book. Do you foresee opening up the commissions again anytime in the near future, or you gonna wait till the book is done before you take commissions again?
Well, the entire Phoebe story is going to be, it's looking around 5 or 6 issues to tell the whole story. And since I work full time, it's going to take me like 6 or so months for each issue to do the artwork. So that's going to be for at least 2.5 years.
Right,
Too
now,
weak to tell that. I mean, I'll still be working with Tonic Mole on saving the world, and I'll probably still be working with Rags for some future pinups and covers and stuff like that. But aside from that, I probably won't be opening my commissions to people I haven't worked with before.
okay. Yeah, Tonic Mole and the Rags books is I want to say it's the only place I've ever seen your work before. How'd you get hooked up with people asking you to draw for their comics? I mean, they had to find you somehow, right?
So as far as Tonic, I did a Batgirl illustration that he really liked. He's a big fan of Batgirl.
Yeah, so am I.
He saw my illustration and he approached me to do the cover of his first issue. So that's how I met him. And we have a lot of similar influences to our work, so we get along really well. And for Rags, I had done some fan art for him. I had to do a couple fan arts before he started paying me. But, we get along pretty well on that as well, so.
So, but you didn't just develop this level of talent overnight, and you've mentioned that you're already an older person. So am I. So were you just like drawing for fun since you were out of high school, or whenever you started this?
So I actually work in graphic design, so it's kind of related to what I do. I have I've worked in several different fields. I used to work in a tattoo shop, so I've done a lot of tattoo design, stuff like that. And
So,
unpacking trucks, which is fun.
no, not nearly.
Uh,
But then you've always been drawing in one way or another, and this is just you're bringing your work home with you now.
right.
Well, you through this crowdfunding renaissance that's been coming up here and gaining all kinds of attention, uh, you've definitely reached a group of people that you weren't reaching before, I'd say. You say Tonic saw your Batgirl illustration. I'm guessing that you have a website that people can go to and see different illustrations or something. I mean, he found that on some
He
sort
found
of
it. He found it on Twitter.
ah. So you were
I
tweeting out stuff.
Yeah. They were doing the drawn and quartered one week, and the theme was Batgirl or the Bat Family, I think it was. And I just happened to be doing a Batgirl illustration, so I kind of posted it on that thread, and that's where he saw it.
I'm Googling right now to find that picture if I can, if it exists out there. Well, of course. No. Oh, good. Here's the tweet. I'm going to bring that up and just kind of show it to the stream here. Oh, and you colored this one too. So
Yeah. So when I originally posted it, was just a black and white illustration, like a lot of what I do.
yeah, and it's definitely looking at it. I can see that's you. That's your style of the crosshatch inking and the thick outer lines. But mostly it's the faces. There's something about the faces where your characters have this, I don't know, this cuteness about them. Little turned up noses and the full lips. And I think again that comes to the comes back to the pin-up style.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of my influences have been pinup. I definitely have a lot of comic book influences on my work. Uh, like you said, my inking isn't as heavy as typical, at least American comic book stuff. Uh, I have some influences from Japanese manga as well as European, which is a little bit finer line and not as heavy on the ink.
So, who were your American comic book influences, or even your Japanese ones? I mean, if you were collecting comics as a kid, what were you reading that drew you to art?
So the first comic book I ever got was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 19, the first issue of Return to New York. I believe that was penciled by Jim Lawson. The ink work on that was incredible. I think I totally destroyed that issue, just flipping through the pages and looking at it and drawing it from reference using that issue. After that, I started to get into the X-Men. The first X-Men I got was 269, I want to say. Jim Lee issues.
Oh yeah, those were very cool. So were you interested in art at all before that point? I mean, and this comes down to the question. I know people who are artists, product designers for grocery companies and such, and they're like, yes, you can be taught to draw. You can draw just as well as I can if you just follow these lessons. I'm like, no. I have this argument in my head with other people all the time on talent versus training.
Yeah, my parents tell me I basically started drawing as soon as I could pick up a pencil. So I've been drawing that long.
We're at a crucial part of the penciling and inking here, folks. So we're just kind of watching as we go along here. This is the important part. Don't let him screw it up. So yeah, you were. So that's kind of what I expected. That this was something that you had a natural propensity for, and then comics sort of said, hey, you can do this for a living, kind of thing.
Yeah, I did look into that. I was interested very heavily in animation and comic book art at the time in my teens, and deciding your career sort of area of my life, and I just never caught my break, so to speak.
Yeah, you went with the things that actually made paychecks. We've all done that. Okay, now she's no longer naked, so it's no longer as important. All the great female drawings start out naked, and then the clothes get drawn on. God, I'm hard pressed for good questions to ask because I don't come from an art background. I come from a writing background, so I like to know about story and stuff. But that's why I'm asking about your story as an artist.
Right. So, I originally was focusing on pencil. When I first started getting into comic books, I was focusing a lot on pencils, but then a lot of the indie comics started to hit big, like Love and Rockets, a lot of the black and white stuff.
Oh yeah,
8-ball. The Charles Burns stuff.
Now Charles Burns is weird, but I do see the ink style that and the influence there carried across. He had a very unique ink style, but his faces were like, "What are you guys? you're not. I can't relate."
So I kind of started to get into inking at that point. I wanted to be able to do it all. So I kind of learned how to do all that stuff. I just didn't have a way to pay my bills and do that stuff.
I can relate to that.
So that's when I kind of found my way into the tattoo world. And I learned about a lot of different cultures. Tattoo started independently in several different cultures, and they all have their own different tattoo styles. So I had to learn a lot of those, and that's also where I learned a lot of lettering, which is the biggest tattoo request that you get.
Sure. Being a tattoo artist, I guess, would by necessity also make you a very careful inker, because there's no erasing when you do the tattoo.
Yeah, for actually for several years of my artistic career, I was doing strictly pen drawings, so pen and ballpoint ink, basically. So all my drawings were black and white. I wasn't doing any color whatsoever.
Do you like to color, or do you just prefer to leave it black and white?
I prefer black and white personally. I kind of learned how to color, and actually I would recommend to any color artist to do a bunch of black and white work, because it actually does help you make better color illustrations, because you have to focus on the light and dark and the focus of the piece.
Yeah, I mean, if I look at this this headline piece here at the very top of your page, it's colored, but it's not. There's a ton of shading going on in this space here. It's not just okay, fill this all in with flesh color. There's all kinds of shadowing that's going on with various tones of that same color to give it the depth and the almost a 3D. You want to pinch your cheek is what you want to do.
Yeah, I did originally when I graduated from high school. I got a scholarship in fine art, so I do have a little bit of fine art background. It's just really difficult to do paintings anymore. Everything is digital now, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
so much easier. There's not all this cleanup you have to do, and oil painting specifically, you have to wait like a day between each layer of painting.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah, and and it has an undo button.
Yeah, that's helpful too.
Yeah, you can tell I come from a place of making mistakes a lot. Uh, I'm not a very careful artist when I draw, and that's why I don't do it anymore. Um, so this is going to have I didn't look at the delivery date, but you're expecting to actually have this ready to go by June.
Yeah, it says in the campaign all the art originally is created. I'm just working on the stretch goal art right now. So basically, it's just me compiling it into a PDF and getting it ready to print after that.
Okay. I'm
So
just double checking my calendar here. I do have back Eclectic Coven in my reminder list on a certain day and time of payment. Uh, so you will be getting added to my collection. I'm just regretting that I didn't get in on the signed copies now. That's
yeah, I do anticipate probably delivering maybe even earlier than that.
that'd be very nice.
I just gave myself some extra time because it's my first campaign, and I'm not. There may be some hiccups I don't anticipate.
Sure. But to your advantage, you have worked on campaigns for other people, and you watched what they've done, and figured it out.
Yeah, so that's the main reason I might finish early.
I was looking through the page, and okay, I was just looking to see if there was a bigger version here of the Roth poster, which has been unlocked. There's not. There's just the little, the postage stamp sized one down here in the stretch goals.
It should be on. I'm pretty sure I have it on my Twitter. Let me just double check.
Okay.
Quick.
like you're scrolling through a
Yeah.
lot of media.
It looks like it. March 19th is when I posted it,
Okay.
and it is inked, but not scanned at that point. So it's missing the title from the poster, but the artwork is there.
I'm looking at pictures of Phoebe chasing looks like a Krampus.
Yep.
Oh, and a roller skating witch. Nice. I found it. I was going slow because I just kind of enjoy going through your artwork and taking my time. Look at that one. Look at that one. Yeah, there it is. And she's got the whole rat rod thing going on too. This is obviously an exaggerated proportion drawing. Her tongue's hanging out just like one of the Big Daddy Roth things. Go for pinks. So were you a hot rod kind of collector at the early on, or were you just doing it because it's happens to be local to you now and you've learned about it that way?
I kind of got familiar with it working in the tattoo shop.
I can see that.
A lot of mechanics come in, and you get requests for hot rod stuff all the time. So that's where I got introduced to it. When I get older than I am now, I'd like to be able to build my own hot rod or restore a hot rod, but I just don't have the money right now.
Oh, again, I'm the sad puppy that don't mean the science fiction sad puppies. I'm the guy who can't draw, so I talk to artists. And when it comes to cars, if I turn the key and it starts up, it works. If it doesn't, it's broke. That's the limit of my car expertise, my knowledge.
Yeah, I'm old enough that we had auto shop in high school, so I did go through auto shop and all that.
We had that. I took wood and flunked it. It was the only F I ever got in high school. But it was like in shop, the very first thing they made you do in wood. Now I passed metals and I passed drafting. I forget. Oh, small engines had to bring everybody had to bring a lawnmower engine in and take it apart and put it back together and have it work. Well, the only lawnmower engine I could get my hands on was from the rusted out one behind the shed that didn't work. I carried the thing in by the T-pole that was stuck out like 2 inches and stopped, and they just looked at it like, oh man, that thing was locked solid. It did not start, but I did get it all apart and sandblasted, and that was lots of fun.
Yeah, it runs in my family. Like my dad, my grandpa, and my brother are all machinists, so there's a little bit of that technical knowledge runs in my family.
Well, that was the family line that I got told was, your grandfather was a master carpenter. How did you flunk wood? And everybody was finishing their thing up, and I was still on project one, which was, here is your square block of a 2x4, 6 inches by 6 inches. Plane it so that it's flat on all sides, and be like, a little bit more, gouge, start over. I just like, screw this. I'm buying my wood pre-planed from people. I'm not building houses. Same with my art. It's like, draw a little line, scratch, and out of there. Now, did this witch have a name, or is she just sort of your? Because she is the cover witch, right?
This is the cover witch. There was a request to have some more of her in the book, so I am doing an intro page with her on it. So she'll introduce the book.
She's I know Phoebe is your character, but there's something inviting about I don't know if it's the facial expression or what, but she does seem to be making making a good impression, a good first impression.
That's what I need.
So yeah, there you go. So maybe we'll see more of her around as you produce more books. Yeah, Rebel Comics is yelling at you, Monk. It's been a very quiet stream, Rebel. We're just kind of watching the man draw and admire the flat tummy that's coming up here now. I just got a reminder.
How many people we have on the stream, but if there are questions, I can at least attempt to answer them.
That would be awesome if people would throw some questions out here. We do have a handful of people watching. So I'm running out of questions. Feel free to throw your own in here. We have a few more minutes before I have to jump to the next stream. I just had a DM reminding me that I had a stream coming up. I'm like, oh God, I hope that's not tonight, but it's Wednesday. Wednesday, I get to be a guest. Oh, that's good. Be a change of pace. I will be a guest on Reckless Gleason's show from the Mighty Mascots. He'll be talking to me about writing and writing the Destroyer books. So that'll be fun. I'll get to relax for a while.
Oh, and hello, Rebel Comics. I don't think I said hi. Welcome to the stream.
We got Rebel Comics. We got Ryan. Ryan Wynn is here. Okay. He says, people have been DMing me saying I got to see Monk's work. His stuff is awesome. Yeah, so which means I've got to bring the page back up here so that when I share it like that, I'll run through this real quick, Ryan. But you know what? Just click the link to the Indiegogo page because you're gonna want this collection of pinups and stuff. There's such a clean look to it, such an innocent look to it. It's innocent and beguiling at the same time, just like a good Varga pinup would be in the day. So there they are. Yeah, just click the Indiegogo and bring this page up bigger. In fact, nobody needs to see me at all. Not for this kind of a stream. Do you do many drawing streams where you just kind of turn the camera on and sit there and quietly work?
I only recently got set up with, like, this camera is new. I've only had it for a couple of weeks, but I did used to do, I don't know if you know Slick Jimmy.
Yeah, I know Slick Jimmy Love.
He used to do a stream called the Cheesecake Challenge where we had a group of artists that would get on and he'd give us a theme and we would all draw pinups.
Yeah, he owes me a book.
I know he's working on it, and I know.
Yeah, I know he's working on it.
That's why we aren't doing the Cheesecake Challenge anymore.
Got to focus on production, then get back to the cheesecake. But I heard he was just doing the lettering now, so it's in the home stretch.
Yeah. So that is the most of the streaming I've done. I don't know that I could talk through a whole stream.
Well, that's the thing. I know you're a quiet man, and you let your work speak for you here. But a lot of people, Ryan Wynn is in the chat. He's similar. He just turns the camera on and draws something, and you answer if you see somebody in the chat ask a question, you answer it then. But other than that, it's just it's almost ASMR, where the only sound you hear is like when you're turning the paper. That's it. Just draw. Do you have a channel?
Yeah, I do have a YouTube channel that I have to use to get on streams with other people. I was on with Red Valkyrie last night, and it required that I had a YouTube channel to get on that. So there's nothing posted on my YouTube channel, but it does exist.
Okay, well, start, man.
Yeah, that might be a good way to promote the book and the coming weeks leading up to the finale, so maybe I will.
Yeah, you can promote the book, and you wouldn't even have to draw the characters from the book if you want there to be some surprises and stuff. Just draw a random character, but have a link to your work. There are a ton of people who would, they would ask questions, more technical questions, like, why are you cross-hatching in that direction? How does that add depth? Which, I can't imagine knowing that, hey, if I want to add depth here, I'm going to add 30 lines going in this angle at this thickness, and that'll create this illusion. It's beyond my comprehension. And then I see it and I'm like, oh, well, of course. I still couldn't do it, but.
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice. I mean, I wouldn't say that anyone could learn to draw like me, but I would say that anyone who has the dedication and the time to practice could develop into a good artist.
And see those highlights you just put on there, the way the points reach out in different directions, like I wouldn't know to do that and to get, that this is going to leave the effect of the negative space showing creases.
So who do you have coming up next?
Oh, next is going to be, I know this by heart, I should know. We have Justice City Chronicles coming up next. So that's it's going to be a change in volume, because we're going to go from quietly watching something being drawn to having the boys from New Orleans come on and be loud and boisterous. And then after that is our last one. We're going to have Don Chin is going to be on. He's going to be showing us some pages now. It's going to be revealing Beardzerker live on our show. And one of the pieces is going to be one of the covers. I've seen the artwork for the cover already, but I haven't shared it. Is going to be the first published appearance of Rainbow the Brute,
cool.
who will be standing side by side with the Beardzerker.
I'm going to be drawing witches all night.
Now, all the artwork I've seen from you has been clean. You don't seem to venture into the lewds that much. Is that a conscious decision, or do you just not get asked for it, or do you get asked for it and say no, thank you, I'd rather not, draw that kind of a thing?
I do. I don't draw lewds really. I do the occasional nude, but yeah, it's just, I don't know.
And there is a difference, yeah.
It's not my preference, I guess.
Yeah, and I know that sometimes artists have a different outlook on anatomy than the observers do, because the observer's like boobs, and the artist is like circles. Now this is where I should have thought ahead and had you and Ryan on the same show, and then you could both talk technique to each other while drawing, and I would just sit here and host it.
I guess we didn't get any questions.
We have had no questions, but you know what? I'm going to give you 5 minutes back of your time here, and just say thank you for letting us watch this and for letting us know more about the project.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm glad I could get on and promote my book. Be sure to check it out. Those of you on the stream.
Yes, folks in the chat, if you're watching on replay, right below this video in the description is the link to the Indiegogo. the price is insanely cheap. You're getting some beautiful artwork in this. Herwenberg, thank you so much for throwing this into the chat regularly on all the shows tonight. You've been throwing the links out. We do appreciate your work on that. But this is one. This is one I'm backing for sure. It's going into my collection. I've got a list of things that have to back. I make sure that my calendar tells me what day to back them, so that I don't have them go off of in demand before I get a chance to throw money at them. And I've seen a lot of good stuff today. I mean, our schedule today, Monk, has been Goblin Girl at 10 o'clock, and then we saw Cobalt at 11, Adventures of Tailless at 12. Life on Korra. But it's just a gamut of different styles and storytelling techniques. We had Graham Nolan on with Alien Alamo at 2. Then we went to Perfect 10 at 3. Florida Man at 4. New guy with 6-8. He's actually had been published on Comixology, but he's going the first time route with crowdfunding. He had a Kickstarter and just wanted to basically learn from the chat what not to do and what to do correctly, and has a really cool looking horror book. We just came out of Fiendish with Irene Strakowski. So that was a very fun stream. A lot of good books that I'm going to be throwing money at. I've got to quit doing this. I'm going broke.
Yeah. I noticed there's a lot of books launching right around now.
Yeah, it's it's a seasonal thing. I mean, they launch now and they don't launch in October because they know that people are going to be doing the Christmas shopping thing, and they're not going to be doing it on Indiegogo. This technically is Christmas shopping on Indiegogo, because what you back now is almost typically what you'll be receiving in the November timeframe. I know yours is going to be popping out sooner than that, but a lot of them aren't.
Yep.
I think that's going to change. I think a lot more
version should be coming out basically when the campaign closes. So everyone will be getting the digital version, whether you backed physical or digital. So.
Oh, nice. That'll give me a chance to play with my digital coloring skills, which are Microsoft Paint, by the way, and the bucket. This color looks better. Dump the bucket. That's my skill. I don't try to airbrush anything. I'm a straight Archie colorist. I color like they did in the 70s. Everything, it's a flat. It's one straight color all the way across from border to border. How did we enjoyed that for some reason. The inks added to it, I guess. Anyway, Monk, thank you for letting us watch. Appreciate it very much. And everyone in the chat, thanks for popping in and saying hi and watching along with us. Hopefully we will see you again in about 5 minutes as we head over for the Justice City Chronicles.